Hello guys and welcome to another video. My name's Mark, I'm an entrepreneur and property investor, and in today's video we're talking about books that really have changed my life and changed the way I think about entrepreneurship and investing. And today I'm going to make some recommendations to you guys about what I believe are the best books out there. And one of them I believe that nobody's going to have read. I just think it's got such a ridiculous title and it's so undervalued and underknown that no one's going to have read it. And actually in this video, towards the end, I'm going to tell you how you can win a copy of it, because I think it's probably one of the best books on the subject matter when it comes to making money and when it comes to becoming an entrepreneur. So guys, if you haven't already given this video a big like, please give it a like. It really does help me out with the algorithm. And if you haven't already subscribed, why not consider subscribing? Remember, we have the Dividend portfolio for our subscribers where we add an extra £1,000 into that every month, and we pay out the dividends on the 10th or the nearest video to the 10th of every single month directly to our subscribers, so that you can take part in passive income and see it actually happening and take part in that journey with us, and hopefully that inspires people to get as much passive income as they possibly can. So let's get into the video. I've got my phone here with me so I can go through some of the titles. I've got 172 titles that I've currently read or listened to on Audible. So I'm going to go through some of my favourite ones, and then I'm going to give you a top three. So if I had to say Anyone Can Do It by Duncan Bannatyne, absolutely fantastic. I wasn't expecting much when it came to that book, but I can tell you right now, it is absolutely fantastic. Definitely highly recommend it. Screw It, Let's Do It by Richard Branson. In fact, anything by Richard Branson is absolutely brilliant. I would highly, highly recommend. First Man In, I mean, again, a little bit off piece. It's not really entrepreneurship by Ant Middleton, but very much about mindset. Really, really like that. I've got quite a lot from Robert Kiyosaki. So we've got things like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We've got all that series. In fact, we've got Fake, we've got Money, we've got all of his videos. I would say Rich Dad, Poor Dad is probably the strongest one that he's done. And to be honest, when it comes to Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that kind of gave me a really good foundation for my wealth building. The one thing that I would pick up on that is the idea that your house is a liability. And the reason that I take issue with that, and I think a lot of people listening to this challenge may take issue with that, is that it's only looking at one part of the wealth equation, right? So from a profit and loss perspective, absolutely, it takes money out of your bank account. But that's not the only thing when it comes to wealth creation, is it? There's also the balance sheet, the assets and liabilities. If we assume that property prices always increase over time, and if we assume that debt decreases in value over time, even if it stays constant nominally, i.e. inflation pays it down. So let's say, for example, inflation runs on average at 2% a year. Well, 2% of that debt in real terms is being eroded every year, and most people on a mortgage will be paying it down additionally on top of that. Well, on the balance sheet side, you are becoming wealthier, although on the cash flow side, I completely agree, you're not. So I do understand where he's coming from when he says that your home is a liability, not an asset. But actually, when you look on the balance sheet, it very much is your asset. The debt is the liability, and the debt is being paid down by inflation, and it's being paid down quite possibly by a repayment mortgage. So I take a little bit of issue with that, and I'm sure many people watching this also do. And maybe you didn't realize why you took issue with it, you know? And when it's explained like that, it's so obvious, right? But really, cash flow wise, totally accept that. But the alternative for most people, if you don't buy the home you live in, is to rent it. And rent and mortgage, quite often, about the same. So for the majority of people, I think buying a home is probably better. I've then got lots of things like Think and Grow Rich, The Power of Now, all great books. But I'm going to give you a top three. Die with Zero, oh my God, Die with Zero. Completely the antithesis of delaying gratification, but completely worth listening to, because it basically sort of talks about the fact that as you become older, I mean, let's assume you're 90 years old, the enjoyment you're going to get out of money in your 90s is far less than the enjoyment that you're going to get out of your money when you're in your 20s. So there's this kind of balancing act to make sure that you do spend your money when the utility of it is high and the enjoyment's high. Like, you don't want to necessarily go windsurfing or kayaking in your 90s. You can't ride a jet ski very effectively when you're 105, but you can in your 20s, you're going to have a ball doing it. So that's a really interesting book. Gerald Ratner, The Rise and Fall and Rise Again. listen to that book, read that book. It is a fantastic story. That's got to go in my top 3 actually. It wasn't going to go in my top 3, but that's replacing something else now. The Rise and Fall of Gerald Ratner. That is a fantastic listen, and the way it's written is really, really good as well. But here we go, let's do a top 3. Let's think about what you need to have. So I'm going to go for top 3. I'm going to go for The Rise and Fall of Gerald Ratner in 3rd position. I want The Richest Man in Babylon because it just talks about delaying gratification. I don't want it all to be about entrepreneurship, but at the same time, I want Unshakable by Tony Robbins because that talks about index funds and that. So I'm going to say that Richest Man in Babylon, I would have put in 2nd spot, but I'm going to put Unshakable by Tony Robbins because it encompasses that theme. So you're still going to have that theme, but then you're going to have the addition of all the information about index funds, about how fees erode your wealth, about how just delaying gratification a few years equals a massive payoff. If you mix that with Die with Zero, then you'll be able to have this dichotomy of issue where you're like, okay, well, how do I spend the money and when? But I'm going to go, yeah, Rise and Fall of Gerald Ratner, then I'm going to go Unshakable by Tony Robbins, and then my number 1 is How to Get Rich by Felix Dennis. And I don't believe that many people have listened to that or read it. It's absolutely fantastic. And Felix Dennis was basically a British publisher. He had Computer Shopper, Maxim magazine, most people are going to have heard of. But he basically built a big publishing empire. He made mistakes, he made great wins, and he describes all of it all the way through. I think that and The Rise and Fall of Gerald Ratner gives you all the sort of, there's so many good ones by Richard Branson as well, isn't there? But I'm going to go with those 2. And I'm going to go with Unshakable by Tony Robbins. And I'm going to give away a copy of How to Get Rich by Felix Dennis to somebody who comments below. And just comment Felix Dennis. I'm going to send that directly to your home. We're going to draw that next week, Tom. Is that all right? So we're going to draw it on Tuesday. Yeah, we'll draw it on Tuesday and we'll put it on the video that will come out for you guys on Thursday. So guys, those are my top books. Let me also know in the comments, in addition to your Felix Dennis comment, any books that you think I've missed out. There's just so many great ones. I've got 172 titles here. You know, from The Millionaire Next Door to Happy Mind, Happy Life. I listen to everything. I'm an absolute fiend when it comes to knowledge. I listen to podcasts whenever I'm driving anywhere. Cognitive... Obstacle is the Way, what a great book. You know, there's just so many. So guys, let me know in the comments anything that you think that I should check out. I'd be massively interested. I'll probably listen to them. So guys, I'll see you on the next video. Give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you soon. Cheers guys.